I mean, we want to be as tight as we can fucking be. We want to sound as good as we can. But you know what? If we're jamming and somebody hits a chord wrong here and there, so what?
Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Belgian Jasper. If this is your first time in the channel, hit subscribe right now. There's no doubt about it that the godfathers of sludge metal are Crowbar, even if they really don't like that term. Band leader Kirk is obviously an icon in metal, so we had to sit down and talk about the new album and so much more. Kirk, thank you so much for your time today. I really do appreciate it. Exciting times for your fans. I actually want to just go straight into one of the lyrics that stood out to me. I think you say, "No one knows their final fate. I earn mine every day, taking one step at a time." Is that a perfect way of capturing your career so far? Career life is a slow-paced marathon, and that made Crowbar survive where others have failed?
You could actually put it that way. I mean, that song, It's Always Worth the Gain, is about the music industry, It's like the opening line: do you have all that you need to rise above the hate and greed? This game we're in, it is for life. You're on your own to fight the strife. It's just about how difficult this business is. So you could say it that way. I mean, there's been so many ups and downs, but at the end, it's always worth the gain. It's always worth what you gain is always worth what you put into it to achieve, so to speak.
Yeah. You've not, been drawn to like the flashy rock star life necessarily. You've dealt with issues and you've been very open about them. You've faced them head on in a lot of your music. Same with this album. A lot of the songs can be interpreted as very personal songs, but still, broad enough for people to have their own interpretation. Are you exercising some very personal stuff in this album?
Yeah, I mean, I normally do with most of the stuff. For me, it's very therapeutic, and people a lot of times are like, "Well, what's this particular song about?" And I'm like, whatever you make of it, I kind of just write down thoughts. And like I say, it's very therapeutic for me, and apparently for the people that get something out of the lyrics and the songs as well, which is a positive thing. But yeah, a lot of my stuff are just thoughts, but it's all coming from me. So yeah, it is personal stuff.
I know from, I think, every interview that you've ever done that you're not the biggest fan of the concept or the term sludge to describe your music. But within that framework, people have certain expectation of Crowbar to be, more stripped down, in your face, fuzzy at times. Do you sometimes feel like, I wish I could just have more with my legacy? It's hard now to color outside of the lines of that, what the world kind of defined as sludge too much? Do you feel like you have to go do a separate project if you want to do something completely different? Or at the end of the day, are you like, one day I'm going to make just like this power metal record under the name Crowbar and just, surprise everybody?
It's a very good question, but I mean, my answer would be that's why I do branch out and do other things. Right. I think it would be unfair to Crowbar as a band, and I think it would be especially unfair to our fans if we were to come out and do something completely different from what, I mean, that's why I do, Down and a solo record and Kingdom of Sorrow. I mean, there's so many. I'm a fan of music, and I don't care what genre. If it's good music, it's good music, in my opinion. So for me, I'll say this: the quote unquote rule book for writing Crowbar songs has gotten a lot longer, or actually a lot shorter. I've ripped out a bunch of pages and said, "Fuck that," we're gonna do this like what we opened this interview with, the song "Always Worth the Gain." Yeah, it's almost like the verse and everything is more almost rock and rollish,
Yeah.
And it's something that I normally wouldn't do with Crowbar, but I kind of wrote that on the spot in the studio. And I was like, you know what? We don't really have a call and answer. I think I was listening to the Motorhead rock and roll album, and the song Rock and Roll came on. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it's like, like Lemmy sings over just the drums, down, with the verse, and then the chorus comes in. And I'm like, we don't have one of those. That's kind of like a traditional arrangement of a rock and roll type song, something AC/DC would do, or Motorhead, for instance, who are really AC/DC and Motorhead are as rock and roll as you can get, not heavy metal in one bit, just rock and roll. But so that was something that I probably would not have introduced to the band a while back, but it just felt right. It felt right, and it's one of my favorite songs on the record. So I'm happy that we did it.
Particularly on this album, I think that that Shane's bass is not only front and center, but it's so clear.
Yes,
he's the so-called new kid, but I think you must be pretty happy with his contributions to the band on this album.
Yeah, we all are. I mean, he did a fantastic job. A lot of people don't know. He's got a jazz degree from University of Southern Mississippi, I think it's University of Southern Mississippi. But so he's a really, really, like, I tell people jokingly, but I'm serious. I'm like, technically, I'm the worst musician in the band, musician-wise. I mean, not only Shane, but Matt can read music, write music. Tommy, our drummer, was formerly taught drums. He can read drum music, and they're much more schooled. I'm old school. When I was a kid, we didn't even have tablature in guitar magazines.
Right.
You either knew how to read music, or like me and so many kids, I just put on fucking records. I learned how to play the box for guitar solos, and anything I do with down is based out of that. Mm-hmm. And I taught myself by ear how to play guitar, and that's that. So I have I won't say a very unorthodox style, but I wasn't taught even properly how to hold a guitar pick. I just picked it up and started banging away, and that's that. My real strength lies in songwriting more so than technical musicianship, although I am capable of playing some, somewhat technical stuff, but nothing crazy. But to be honest, it never piqued my interest. It never really was my thing. I mean, I enjoy watching YouTube and watching Michael Schenker or Gary Moore or somebody.
For sure, yeah.
I love, just rip up the guitar. I love it. I get goosebumps. Even Ace Frehley just taking a great solo. I get it. And in the modern times, listening to Dimebag or something, or having the pleasure of sitting with him and watching him, shred on the guitar and rip. Same with Zakk Wylde, but for me, it's not really my thing. I mean, I'm much more into the overall playing with a band, writing music, and I really enjoy the older I get, the arranging and just the whole recording process. And then, of course, live, feeding off the crowd, and live should be raw, especially for a band like Crowbar. I mean, we want to be as tight as we can fucking be. We want to sound as good as we can. But you know what? If we're jamming and somebody hits a chord wrong here and there, so what? It's live. It's real. So many bands, everything is in-ear and click tracks and triggers and Kemper amps, which I love Kemper. I do. In fact, I'm thinking about getting one possibly. But, just where everything is just perfect. Yeah. And, for Crowbar, we're just not like that. We just throw beat up cabinets up there and plug in old amplifiers and tune up and go for it, So, but for me, I think that my talent and my love of it lies, like if I pick up a guitar, it's to write something or rehearse, record, or play a show. I don't pick up to practice the fundamentals and whatnot like a lot of guys do. It's just not my thing, Yeah. For those who put in the time and effort to do it, I think it's wonderful, and I enjoy it, and I respect it. And I appreciate what they do, but I get more out of writing riffs and song,
Yeah. And that punky attitude to music and also to writing. And we talked about the rock and roll vibe that this album has at times. Think of Bleeding from Every Hole is an example where there's a punkiness to it as well, which is a juxtaposition with songs like Denial of the Truth, where you go heavy, slower down. I think so far I had a chance to listen to the full album. My favorite song on the album so far. You mentioned before that I felt like writing this and I wrote it. Is that for the entire album, or did you go into this like I do want to try some different things on this album?
I think with every album we branch out a little bit, and we actually went backwards. A lot of the stuff, like I told the guys and they agreed. I said we need to touch more upon the doomy side of Crowbar. Mm-hmm. Songs like Denial of the Truth,
Yeah.
And when you have just simple doom chords, it really opens up melody, the opportunity for melody vocally. And I can sing with a smoother voice and it's more melodic and whatnot. So I like to mix that up. The exact opposite would be Bleeding from Every Hole with a punk or hardcore feel.
Exactly, yeah.
And vibe to it. And it's an angry, song, and it's heavy, So I think that, I love doing it all, but I think that as a band, we all said, look, let's just do what we do, and we'll know if it's right or wrong, if something doesn't quite fit, then we don't even fool with it. If we come up with a riff and we start working on it, I'll be like, you know what, this ain't worth a shit. It's not us. Let's do something else.
Yeah.
Anybody got a riff? Yeah, man. All right, let's do it. All right, cool. I can do something with this, and I like the input from Matt and Tommy, and Tommy as well, drummer, but he doesn't play guitar. But from Matt and Shane, I love when they come up with an idea and I take and run with it, kind of. They'll come up with a riff and I'm like, all right, I got an idea. Learning to live again. There are albums where I wrote every fucking note, played all the guitars and bass and sang, and all it was me and a drummer. But this is far from that. This is a true collaboration of all four band members, and everybody kicked ass. Everybody performed well, performed great in my opinion. And I'm really glad you liked the production on the album. And of course that was intentional. We wanted to be heavy, but we wanted to sound good, and the one thing that a lot of people don't know, they're starting to find out with all the interviews for Zero and Below, but is that this record was completed in February of 2020. So It's been two years. So we sat on this record for 2 years and we all listened to it, off and on for the course of 2 years during the lockdown. And at the end of the day, we all said, I wouldn't change anything, so I love it. It's one of my favorite things we've done. And I think it's a mature record. I think it's a great example of where we're at in our career right now. And I love it. And I love where we're going.
You've been sitting on this record for a long time, and I know that you love this record a lot. So I know that you can't wait to share this with a broader audience. What can you share when it comes to plans that are down the road that we should keep our eyes open for?
We're hoping to be able to go overseas in the fall of 2022, but our summer stuff is all pushed back, all the European stuff to 2023, just to try to be smart about it. We're not Metallica or Megadeth or whatever. We can't afford to have a tour pulled out from us at with all of these coming out of management's pocket or our pocket or whatever. To get a tour starting, there's a lot of startup costs for a band, for any band, even a band like Crowbar, and we just don't have the money to eat that or sit on it and wait for another year. So for us, the smartest thing to do is just aim for the fall, and hopefully things will have changed a lot and all the European countries will be 100% open and we can do it. And other than that, we're going to do as much as we can in the US. And honestly, since it's been 2 years, I mean, I'm working on a second solo record right now, which is almost musically complete. In fact, I'll be done with that in the next week or so. But as soon as we return from the Sepultura tour, we're going to start writing for the next Crowbar record, because we do have a little time off, and it's been 2 years since we wrote Crowbar, so everybody's itching to do it. We're so happy with the way this one came out and the direction that it's going that we want to just continue that, you know.
For sure, for sure. All right, we'll keep our eyes open for everything coming our way, and we'll hope to catch you, if not in Europe, with Municipal Waste on the road in the States as well. Kirk, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate it. I know you've got you have to do a lot of these, and it's over and over again, but I really
know what?
it.
I don't mind. I have one in 1 minute. So that's why I'm checking my phone. I'm like, okay, I didn't know. A lot of times they'll tell, you know, the journalist interview or whatever you want to call it. Okay, you got 30 minutes. And sometimes they don't. And I'll be like, my phone's ringing. I'm like, sorry, I got another interview calling in, you know. So, but no, thank you very much. I really enjoyed it. You know, all the best. Stay safe. And I appreciate you taking your time to do this for us guys in Crowbar.
Awesome. Absolutely. Absolutely. Look forward to seeing you on the road. Thank you so much.
You got it, brother. Thank you.
You are awesome for watching this video. Click right here to see more content like it and subscribe to the channel.